Hello, everyone. It's me, Darlene Corbett. And I'm so pleased to be doing video with my podcast. I've done a lot of videos. It's not like I think I made it sound like I never was video before. And I have done many videos. I've done Facebook Lives, I've been videoed at speaking events. So I am quite comfortable with videography here. Finally got my lighting right. Hopefully, my sound is better. I have a wonderful ring light right behind me, and it is just fabulous. I'm just going to tilt this a little bit. Let's see. There. So, welcome back to Get Unstuck Now, formerly called Tap into the Power of You. I said I resurrected it because I hadn't done any podcasts since July until beginning of this year. But I would say it reincarnated because there's a new name. It's not the same exact form, but the theme is the same. How about that? So welcome back again. For all you people, whether you be Gen Xers or Boomers or younger, you'll get there soon enough, which we're going to get to about getting older in a moment. But I want to update you on my Spanish. And before I do that, this is the second before a week is out. How about that? Did you expect it? I didn't expect it, but I love doing it so much. I thought I had a few moments and I thought I'd talk about some things that I think are important. I think a lot of things are important and there's sometimes not enough time, but it's just enough time for today to say what I have to say. But Spanish, I decided not to torture me or anyone else with the live. I'm very, very, very busy. I can add a few more varies and I'll just keep doing the app and I'll go at a pace that's right for me. I am not giving up. I just have to not be so harried or hurried. If I don't become proficient before I leave this earth, so be it. But I'm going to give it my best shot. How about that? Oh, so today I need those glasses because I'm going to have to read a couple notes. Today I want to talk about the young woman that, and she is young, that died from suicide. Cheslie, I get her name right, beautiful Cheslie Kryst. I want to talk about a friend of mine, Stephanie Mann, and her fabulous organization, Safe Kids Now. She was on here, I think a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, when I had guests. I want to get to that too. I'll digress for a moment. But then finally, I want to talk about blue-skinned people. Yes, they existed. They did. And I just found that out. I'm going to read a fabulous book about it, but I want to, I forgot what I was going to say now about what I was saying after Stephanie, but I will have to think about it. It will come back. This is where 60 is not the new 40. Oh, yes, guests. So let me tell you why I'm not doing guests. I've had a lot of people, not a lot, but some people say, can I be a guest on your podcast? And no disrespect to anyone, I stopped having guests. I think I may have said that earlier, but I'll reiterate that for two reasons. One, there was a period where I had no guests a couple of years ago, and I thought, well, I'll just talk. And I found out that I really liked doing it solo. Then I had a flurry of guests, and my producers were wonderful, fabulous, but expensive. I thought, I don't know, I have no sponsors. I have no advertising. I'm not being paid to do this. If I could someday, that would be fabulous, but I'm not doing it for that reason. I like being a free spirit. But again, if I could, I'd take it. For now, though, it was very expensive to produce. And I suspect I was one of my program, my platinum style, I probably had the bronze form. And it was expensive. So I decided that I need to let that go. So that's why the music's not great, but I do have my Blue Yeti. I want it to fall off. It does sometimes here. And I have my computer screen and my beautiful ring light and my iPad with my music. So if it doesn't come out as well as you'd like, the music that is, you have me, and the message, I believe, is more important. Okay, so let's go back to Cheslie Kryst, the beautiful young woman that jumped to her death in New York City. I believe it was on Sunday. I don't remember when. And it really saddened me, as I'm sure it saddened other people. This stunning young woman that seemed very sweet, educated, hardworking, bright, had a wonderful future ahead. She was only 30. There were some mixed things about it, but it sounds like it was a suicide. And people said mental health, probably. But we don't know what always lies behind the picture that's presented. I always stated repeatedly that a picture speaks 1,000 words. Obviously, that did not come from me. But what I have begun to say in the last year, we don't really know what's behind that picture. Open the curtain, look beneath. You don't know. And as a therapist, I feel very strong about that. All those wonderful people that look so happy over the years, whether it be in photos, TV, now the internet, we really don't know. This young woman seemed to have everything. Yet there was a gaping hole in her spirit, obviously. Now her spirit that was vibrant, but her spirit, the will to live. Could she have been bipolar? Possibly. Could she have had trauma in her background? Possibly. We don't know. We won't know. Are you psychotic when you kill yourself? I don't know, because we don't know. I suppose there's some people they've spoken to that have survived suicide attempts, but this was pretty final. When you take pills, they say it's, but jumping out a sky high apartment, I don't know. It's pretty final. What I read, interestingly, she struggled around the idea of getting older. That was one thing. She was very, very hardworking, it sounds like exhausted from working. And she was being trolled, which I'm sure was very upsetting to her. She was a Miss USA. I failed to mention that just now, 2019. And she worked on the extra program, the entertainment program. So again, she had so much going for her, but yet something was very much amiss. Are you psychotic when you actually go through with the act? I would think. Or if not psychotic, so despondent, so very, very despondent that the will to live loses to the will to die. Some people say it's an impulse. Some people say it's methodical. I say it's both. Because the impulse is to actually go through with it, but you have to be thinking about, or at least planning it, or thinking, even if it's a short-term plan. It's very, very sad. Suicide does no one any good. I mean, her family must be devastated. So it's very, very disturbing when you see someone that seems to have everything, yet obviously in some ways not anything, because she felt so overwhelmed. And if it was mental health issues, of course, it could have been severe depression, obviously, is involved. But suicide is on the rise. That's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. It was on the rise in my age group. And again, those middle-aged women, they did not expect to see such an increase. But it's on the rise in adolescence. It has been long before the pandemic. It was on the rise. That 13 Reasons Why, a lot of the families asked to have it removed from Netflix. I get that. I watched it and I thought it was well done, but not for kids to see. There's nothing glamorous about killing oneself. I think that it has to be talked about. And even before the pandemic, it would doubled adolescent suicide. And now I heard a statistic. It's outrageous. Now I could be wrong, but I read it too for girls. I'll get to that in a minute. For boys, 4% increase. And I don't know over the course of time, but I suspect it's the pandemic, but I really don't know. Girls, 51% rise. What is this bleakness of life being given to kids? I don't know. Could it be, there's so many variables involved. But I also think there's a lot of disconnection, isolation, bullying. I don't know. This feeling that you're not pretty enough, or or enough of anything. I'm going to hold on to my glasses so I don't keep dropping them. And I don't really know. I don't know what is creating this rise. I suspect there's a lot of things converging. So we have to keep our eyes out. And parents, I would really encourage you to really watch. If your kids seem a little amiss, even if they don't, know what's going on with them. So many people don't. They're busy, they don't have time. As long as they're doing good in sports or cheerleading or academics, we don't know always. You just don't. So you need to find out. And the best thing to do, if you can, is to have family dinners. The research shows that really helps families and children. So speaking of, we'll leave poor Miss Kryst. We'll put her to rest. She is hopefully resting in peace. A place now that's a place where she's at peace. And I do believe she's somewhere in another sphere, and hopefully at peace, being connected to loved ones in a whole nother realm. And I say that often, and I will continue to say it, because I really do believe there is something beyond this world. I think this is a difficult world to live for many people. Well, I think it's hard anyway. Life is hard. But I want to get back to the whole issue of families and children. And my friend, Stephanie Mann. If you don't know Stephanie, she is a dynamo, a real dynamo. I met her in California at a sponsorship meeting. Neither one of us got sponsors, but we met each other. And it's just been a fabulous, and a lot of other people, fabulous people. It was just, that was the best part of it. Meeting the wonderful people I did. And Stephanie was one of them. She now lives in Nevada. She has an organization called Safe Kids Now. I also think she started something nationally, Neighborhood Watch, I believe. I could be wrong the exact title. But her organization, Safe Kids Now, and Stephanie's a boomer, a woman of a certain age that just keeps going. She has helped homeless. She has helped so many people. She has quite the story herself. She just keeps going. Safe Kids Now is a national organization. You can go online, Safe Kids Now, just as it sounds. And she is there to serve families and children and help them divert the challenges that occur in the 21st century. Her book, Empowering Parenting, is fabulous. I had that book. So go on her website, Safe Kids Now. It's also on Amazon, but Empowering Parenting. I just want to make sure I've got the exact title. Empowerment Parents. Empowerment Parenting. You'll see Stephanie Mann, M-A-N-N. And I read that book from cover to cover. She gives exercises for kids and then to talk to their parents, for parents and to talk to their kids. It is amazing. I would give every parent I know that book. If you know anyone, and boomers, your grandparents, many of you, aunts and uncles, that is a great book to gift your children, to talk about with your grandchildren. And if you are the primary parent, it's a great book to go over with your grandchildren. Stephanie has a guest on February 2nd. I know many people will see this after, but she has a lot of guests. I was a guest. I'm honored and privileged to have been a guest. She has a guest named Jeff Cade. He's a health lifestyle specialist. And it looks like it's fabulous. But most importantly, she is trying to ward off this havoc that's being wreaked on our society. Americans are so blessed in many ways, and yet there's so much going on. I'll give another shout out again to Reverend Corey Brooks. He is in Chicago, still on that roof in sub-zero degree temperatures, trying to help the inner city young people of Chicago. And he has helped divert them from living a life of hopelessness, of violence. So Stephanie Mann, Safe Kids Now, Reverend Corey Brooks, Project Hood, H-O-O-D, just as it sounds. It's H.O.O.D. They are trying to help our young people, all of us really, but our young people especially, who have so much left in their lives, and yet it could be taken away just like that. Now that I haven't made you blue or given you the blues. But speaking of blue, I want to mention blue-skinned people. Yes, they existed. How did I discover that? There is a fabulous book I cannot wait to read. I read about this woman. Her name is Kim Michelle Richardson, the bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. Troublesome Creek. And it's about a young woman, a 19-year-old. It's a fiction, but her name is, what is her name? Chelsie Mary Cantor. And she was a part of the New Deal funded Pack Horse Library. I think that was a real thing with the New Deal. And she wanted to go around and help people in Kentucky, rural Kentucky in the 30s. And she brought reading materials deep in that Appalachia area so she could help people become literate. Now, what makes this book remarkable, not that alone does, but also the fact that she is part of this blue-skinned group of people. Yes. For 6 generations of the Fugates, Fugates, blue skin, something with the hemoglobin. I'm not going to get into it because you can read about it, but I'll tell you the name of the condition. Methemoglobinemia. 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 That's quite the tongue twister. But anyway, apparently it's something where the oxygen doesn't get enough to your system and you turn blue, but they didn't have any other symptoms. If you only get 10 to 20% of this condition afflicting you, you have no other symptoms except for the color blue. And so these people became, it sounds like, insulated. And there were 6 generations, starting with a man named Martin Fugate, who came from France. So they lived, a lot of them lived a long time. They weren't unhealthy, lived to the 80s and 90s. But I suspect, I'll read the book, so I'll let you know when you can read the book, that they suffered, from being ostracized and not included and probably viewed as what's wrong with those people, so they became insulated. 6 generations of those people. I think there was some kind of discovery that helped eliminate this or helped diffuse it, or they diffused it through intermarriage. I don't really know, but I can't wait to read the book. She has another one coming out. She's a New York Times bestseller. And I'm very, very pleased that it's getting the attention, not just for this little girl that, when I say little girl, she's 19, but that's a little girl to me. She went out to the world of rural Kentucky and wanted to help people become literate, to read, letting the world be opened up, because we all know, those of us who are voracious readers, that reading transports you. I don't care if you're reading Danielle Steele, which I still read. I'm reading one of her books now. After reading another one, I'll mention that actually. But before I do, don't laugh at Miss Steele. She talks about places you can go that you've never been to before, like San Francisco, long before I got there. Not that long, but I read her book, her first few books. But she's worth $350 million. So God bless Danielle Steele, because she entertains. Her books are entertaining. But I read this one. I always go to her, well, not always, but a lot, her and a lot of others that are easy and lighter reading after reading something heavy. And I had read Meg Cabot's The Turnaround. I think that's what it's called. It's about this sisters involved in a ballet school. Very well written, but not uplifting. Maybe well written, but not uplifting at all. So if you want a twisted story, because it was twisted, and not just because they twisted their bodies, the ballerinas and whatever the gentlemen are called, ballet dancers, should I say. It was quite a bit unsettling. I would not call it uplifting. Well written, but not uplifting. So I always resort to something light after reading something heavy. And that's my story. Just to update you, I'm still writing a lot. I'm not writing, if anyone's looking for me on Medium, I'm taking a break from Medium and vocal. I can't keep up that pace of writing. Not when I'm in the middle of a major writing project. As I said, I will still write for Biz Catalyst. I also write for 60andMe. I thought I was going to I have pulled back, but I'm probably going to put another one out there, probably about learning a foreign language in my 60s. How about that? But that's about it for now. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I'm doing this on video. For those who don't have any interest to see me, you can hear me because most of the platforms, Amazon, Apple, it's not videoed. But if you go to my Twitter, you can see me. If you go to YouTube, you can see me in a couple of other platforms. Other than that, you can just listen on all those other places, Amazon, Apple, Pandora, iHeart, I forget what else, Spotify, Stitcher. And that's it. So for now, I invite you to consider reading my book, Stop Depriving the World of You. I do believe it's an ageless message. If you like what I have to say, I'd love you to just acknowledge it on one of those platforms. And if not, if you don't want to do that, no problem. I'm just going to keep talking until I have nothing to say. And I'm really not sure when that will be. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. And I look forward to the next time. And I'm going to throw you a kiss because that's who I am, and a hug. And I'm going to say, have a great rest of the several days until I speak again. My glasses almost fell again. I like my theme song.